The man carries the cultural heritage of 5,000 years of China. But there are always some people who lack vision and want to seek advice. Facing the guard's obstruction, Hu Buhui seemed to have not heard it at all. He ignored the guard's obstruction, and the momentum he released scared the soldier so much that he was trembling all over. The next moment, I reached out and stood in front of him. Hu Buhui, correct? Even if you are barbarians, you should still understand some manners. Hu Buhui became interested when he saw my appearance and intercepted the big man who wanted to harm me. Kid, you say I don't know manners? Yes, if you want to see the princess without an invitation, that's fine. When paying a visit, shouldn't you bring a small gift as a token of respect? What gift did you bring for the princess? Upon hearing me say that, Hu Buhui suddenly fell silent. Indeed, I didn't consider it carefully. I waved my hand and told him since he didn't bring a gift, he should go back and prepare one before coming again. Before Hu Buhui could speak, a big guy nearby immediately started flattering. The prince is the best gift. There's no need for any other gift. I seized upon the loophole in his words and mocked. Are you saying that your prince is an object that can be freely given away? A burst of laughter followed closely. The big man explained nervously that he didn't mean it that way and told the others not to listen to the kid's nonsense. Hu Buhui scolded him to shut up immediately. At the same time, he gave me a stern warning. Today, I have neither brought a gift nor paid my respects. But I insist on seeing the princess. What can you do to me? I provocatively moved my face closer and said, Your Royal Highness, by pressuring others like this, even if you kill me, you still won't win the princess's heart. Do you know what the princess likes the most? Hu Buhui was taken aback and asked, What is it? With one hand raised high, I shouted, The princess loves poetry the most. If you are a real man, then let's each write 3 poems. Let the princess critique them. Whoever the princess doesn't like will voluntarily withdraw and cannot pursue her anymore. Once done, I provocatively asked him if he dared to accept my challenge. On the side, the maids and eunuchs were shocked and worried. Oh no, how dare he make such a suggestion? I heard that besides entertainment, he doesn't read at all. The eunuch on the side also chimed in. I heard he can only draw turtles. How could someone who used books as pillows since childhood possibly write poetry? At this point, everyone's faces turned ugly. While the princess does indeed like poetry, for Chu Aetherius to try his hand at poetry, it's undoubtedly embarrassing for our West Chin kingdom. It's likely to completely chill the princess's heart as well. When Hu Buhui saw everyone's reaction, he burst into laughter. Do you think I, Hu Buhui, only know how to fight and kill? I have been well versed in literature since I was young, while you are just a useless playboy. How dare you challenge me to a poetry contest? You choose a topic. I spread my hands arrogantly, showing off without a doubt. It doesn't matter. I waved my hand, putting on a face of indifference. Since I proposed a poetry contest, you choose the topic. To prevent others from saying that I am bullying you, Hu Buhui did not agree immediately. I want to see what surprise you can give me. The big bearded man behind also stepped forward to flatter. This useless person actually dares to compare poetry with His Highness. He is not afraid to embarrass himself, huh? Even the miscellaneous fish following behind echoed in agreement. That's right, that's right. His Highness's poetry has been praised by the Grand Scholar. His literary talent is no less than the Grand Scholar, so defeating this kid is more than enough. Murong Glacial, who was observing on the side, burst into laughter like a pig. This kid really knows how to court death in various ways. I wonder what you will do if you lose in a while. Then Hu Buhui looked towards the direction of North Abyss. I have been in Qin's capital for half a month. I'm starting to miss home a bit. Let's make the first poem about the grasslands of North Abyss Kingdom. I smiled and gestured with my finger. Let's get started then. Today, I'll show you uncultured folks something. Open your eyes and experience the profound cultural heritage of my great China, which spans 5,000 years. Prepare for a cultural shock. The verses spoken casually by a man. It unexpectedly became a masterpiece that has been passed down through the ages. North Abyss Prince tried to humiliate me in public by intentionally arranging the competition venue outside the mansion. I heard the common people gossiping about me. I am really feeling thoroughly disliked. The young eunuch saw the situation and thought to himself, "This is bad." He quietly instructed the maid beside him, "Go report to the Empress Dowager immediately." The bearded man proudly reported to Hubuhui. His subordinates went to call all the commoners in the city. When you compose poetry later, not only can you severely humiliate the guy, but also showcase your knowledge among the people of the West Qin Kingdom. Hubuhui did not pay attention to the bearded man's intention to provoke him. He immersed himself in contemplating the next lines of poetry. I saw his appearance and lightly chuckled. "Since you need more time to ponder, why don't I go first?" Then I walked confidently in front of the people and began to recite. "The grass on the plain stretches far and wide. With each year, it withers and revives. Wildfires cannot burn it away. Spring winds make it bloom again. The distant fragrance spreads along the ancient road. The bright green turns to a desolate town. Once again, I bid farewell to my friend, with tender grass, full of parting sorrow." When I recited up to the fourth sentence, those with some cultural background became excited one after another. And when I read the next passage, everyone's faces were filled with incredulity, trying to understand what was happening to me. But when I read the last two sentences, Morone Glacial's face was filled only with killing intent. On the face of North Abyss Prince, there was only shock. No other expression was shown. But that brainless big bearded man suddenly laughed. What a load of crap poetry. Far inferior to our highness. Then he looked at his own master. Excitedly said to him, "Your highness, it's your turn. Let that boy hear it. What is really called good poetry?" Who knew that the next moment Hubuhui smacked him in the face. "Poetry is a good thing. Are you deaf and can't hear it? Are you really trying to make me lose face?" Then he ignored that brainless person. He turned around with a gloomy expression and looked at me. "I underestimated you. You won the first poem." But the big beard refused to acknowledge the result. "Your Highness, this kid must have cheated. That waste definitely couldn't have written the poem just now. For such a wild dog." I suddenly smiled playfully and said, "The one who set the question is your prince. Are you implying that your prince helped me cheat?" Then I looked at Prince Hubuhui. Such a brainless subordinate. If I were you, I would have chopped him up and fed him to the dogs long ago. The big beard heard me say that and hurriedly explained to Prince Hubuhui, "Your Highness, don't listen to this kid's nonsense. Although I act recklessly in West Qin, I am absolutely loyal to you." Hubuhui scolded him to shut up. Then he put on a gentle and refined appearance. "Pay no attention to him. Let's start the second poem. Let's use Princess Rushin of your West Qin kingdom as the theme. Describe her beauty." On the other side, the maidservant had already arrived at the princess's residence. She reported to the queen mother, "The princess's husband and the North Abyss prince have agreed to a poetry competition. The princess will judge the quality. The loser will give up and no longer pursue the princess. The city is now filled with onlookers." Upon hearing the maid's report, the queen's face showed disgust. This Chu Aetherius is simply making a fuss. Why compare poetry? This has caused such a commotion. The princess chimed in. "Mother, I told you he is unreliable. No matter what he competes in, he is just a waste." A moment later, there came a hurried sound of footsteps from outside the door. Imperial Consort and Princess, this is a poem titled, North Abyss Prairie, written by the consort. Please take a look. The princess then snatched the paper over. She was still sarcastic in her heart. I guess it's just some random and incoherent sentences. The reputation of the Qin kingdom has been tarnished by this waste. But when the princess opened the paper, she was instantly captivated by the verses in front of her. The grass on the plain stretches far and wide. With each year, it withers and revives. Not only the princess, even the knowledgeable queen beside her was attracted by the verses in front of them. This is really a poem written by Chu Aetherius. Following that, the maid's words in front of her made the princess's heart sink to the bottom of the valley. Reporting to Her Majesty the Queen, the servant personally witnessed it. I only used 2 lines of poetry. I made the powerful and domineering princess bewildered by my affection. When the princess received my written poetry, even though she was astonished, she still had a disdainful expression. She threw away the paper used to record it. No matter how well written, it was still a poem for the North Abyss grassland. In the end, it was just to please that North Abyss prince. Before the princess could continue speaking, another maid rushed in excitedly, holding a scroll of paper. "Your Majesty the Queen Princess, the second poem is out. The second poem is out. It is themed on the appearance of princess." Although displeased, the princess still arrogantly said, "Let me hear what kind of poem that person has written this time." Following that, the maid unfolded the paper and read aloud. "For 1,000 years, no beauty can compare. The fairest sight is a lady so rare, a face that could topple kingdoms and realms, a beauty that stuns the world with its charms." The princess, who had originally been dismissive, suddenly blushed. "He really wrote this," she exclaimed. Even the queen praised the compliments, saying, "Look at how he praises you. For 1,000 years, no beauty can compare, a face that could topple kingdoms and realms." The princess heard the queen's teasing words and exclaimed, "Mother!" Then she turned her head away. The queen gently stroked the princess's hair and said, "Isn't my daughter the type to overthrow cities and ruin states?" Outside the princess's residence, I looked provocatively at Prince Hubuhui and said, "Your Highness, I have finished the second poem. It's your turn. I wonder what you can write to describe the stunning beauty of the princess." Hubuhui chuckled self-deprecatingly and said, "Once your poem is revealed, perhaps no one can surpass it for thousands of years. How can I dare to show my inferior skills? I have lost." Even the onlookers, the spectators, all nodded in approval and said, "I don't know whether the princess is beautiful, but this poem is truly beautiful. This poem must be a masterpiece for all ages to come." But the bearded man is still pressing on closely from the side. "His Royal Highness, this young man has always had a fondness for women. He must have long coveted the princess. It's possible that he arranged this long ago. These love poems written by Confucius are now just pulled out for use. This can't be overlooked." Just now, the onlookers who were just moved also heard it. They all agreed and said, "Exactly. We almost got deceived by this young man. With his status, getting a famous poet to ghostwrite a poem should have been a piece of cake. Since he has married the princess, he naturally needs to prepare some gifts to please her. This poem must have been prepared long ago." Hearing the discussions around me, I didn't speak up to refute. Instead, I quietly watched as Hubuhui said, "Since that's the case, then you can reveal the theme of the third poem." To my surprise, Hubuhui shook his head and generously admitted, I lost. But at the same time, I understand. I want to take this opportunity to shut up those who doubt me." He turned back to me and continued, "Since Brother Chu wants to continue, then I also want to listen. Can Brother Chu create poetry that will be sung for 1,000 years? The third theme is about soldiers. Use poetry to describe the military of our 2 countries." And I did not hesitate at all. Instantly, I thought of the corresponding verses. "Grape wine in a cup that glows at night, the pipa urges me to drink, as the horse rides in sight. Drunk, I lie on the battlefield, don't mock my state, how many have returned from battles of fate?" Upon hearing my impassioned recitation, Hubuhui's heart trembled. Muttering to himself, "How many have returned from battles of fate? This may perhaps be the best destination for soldiers like us." He then bowed to me and said, "Brother Chu's poetry has displayed exquisite mastery, making me fortunate to have encountered it. The final poem will surely be sung for 1,000 years in my North Abyss kingdom." Who would have thought that the audacious bearded man stepped forward at this moment? "Your Majesty, your subordinates believe that you did not lose at all. You simply used your own weaknesses against Chu Aetherius' strengths. Such a comparison is meaningless." Without saying a word, he immediately lifted his sword and struck at me. It's this brat who's been inciting and obstructing us from meeting the princess. Let me do His Majesty a favor and get rid of him." The next moment, a long knife stabbed through the big beard's chest. "You wild child. Do you think I haven't humiliated myself enough already? You say it's for my own good, but you're secretly doing inhumane things behind my back in West Chin. As Brother Chu said, someone as brainless as you should indeed be killed. In order to deepen the martial arts exchange between North Abyss and West Chin, I will request an audience with the King of West Chin Kingdom. I propose to have a martial arts duel with Brother Chu. I hope Brother Chu will not refuse." The cunning and spicy queen has finally accepted me, her lazy and gluttonous son-in-law. Just because I not only completed the task she gave me perfectly, I also fiercely slapped the face of North Abyss Prince. Hu Buhui used the excuse of exchanging martial arts between two countries to challenge me in order to reclaim the site. Before I could even refuse, he left the princess's residence directly with his guards. The maids around me were stunned to hear that Hu Buhui had challenged me to a duel. "Your Highness, are you really going to compete with the North Abyss Prince?" This matter is already irreparable. I had to pretend to be indifferent and confidently show off. He was willing to accept my poetry challenge. If I don't agree, wouldn't it damage my dignity? Look at you all, like you've never seen a man as handsome as I am. After hearing this, Murong Glaciel's expression twisted. "Damn, so handsome. I think you just want to compete with the North Abyss Prince to extend your own survival time." However, she didn't dare to say these words to his face. I saw her gritting her teeth and leaving in a huff. Just wait and see how I defeat the North Abyss Prince. But when I entered the room, the queen and the princess were not as welcoming as I had imagined. Instead, they stared at me with icy cold expressions. Seeing this, I realized that I might have caused trouble. I awkwardly scratched my head and asked them, "Shouldn't you be happy that I sent Hu Buhui away?" But the queen's face showed no sign of relief. "I heard that you had agreed to duel with Hu Buhui. Do you really think that with your current strength, you can easily defeat him? She is extremely disappointed in me. Although you have some literary talent, your physique is not even as good as an ordinary weak woman. If you step onto the stage, you will only meet your death." I heard the queen's questioning. Mysteriously, I arrived at the door. "Mother, please wait, I will close the door." However, the queen misunderstood and thought I was worried about others knowing about this. She couldn't help but sarcastically say, "This matter has already caused a sensation. Closing the door is of no use." Later, I turned my head and explained to the queen, "In fact, I have another secret. I am a Xian Cultivation Level 1 Xian Mastery Practitioner." Upon hearing my answer, both of them were surprised. The birth of a Xian Mastery Practitioner is extremely rare, a 1 in a million existence. This kid actually. I explained to them with a dim expression. "Please forgive me, Queen Mother and Princess, for deliberately hiding it. Because of the malice from my stepmother, I could only cultivate quietly without telling anyone. Otherwise, how could I come back to life and save the princess? Moreover, there is also a Xian Qi seed in the princess's body that I cultivated when treating her illness. I also cleared her ren and Du meridians while healing her." Upon hearing my words, the princess immediately crossed her legs and sat on the bed, carefully sensing the Xian mastery energy in her body. With the princess's manipulation, the Xian Qi seed at her forehead immediately emitted streams of Xian Qi, which then flowed from her forehead to every acupoint in her body. After confirming that I had not lied, the princess slowly opened her eyes. She called out to the queen with a look of surprise, "Mother Queen, it's true." The queen touched the princess's forehead with relief. "In the future, my daughter can also become a Xian mastery." After proving my worth, I immediately asked for the queen's permission. "As long as you give me a month, I will definitely be able to defeat Hu Buhui, so I plead with Mother Queen to help me." It seems that she has discovered my potential for cultivation. The queen's tone has also softened a bit. "I will help you to resolve the matter of delaying the martial arts competition. You should focus on cultivating well recently." At the same time, she patted my shoulder reassuringly. I'm looking forward to your performance. I noticed the Queen's recognition of my changes. I was delighted. All my efforts have not been in vain. But soon I noticed that the princess beside me had been staring at me. And then as she brushed past me, she whispered softly, "You are not as ugly as the rumors say. I will remember your kindness." When I heard the princess say this, a smile involuntarily appeared on my lips. It seems that everything is moving in a positive direction. I can become stronger just by lying down. As long as I can make a breakthrough, the Queen will undoubtedly become my solid support. On the other side, Li Xuanqing is leaning against a tree all by himself. In contrast, his group of friends is currently playing marbles. Seeing this, Li Xuanqing couldn't help but secretly be amazed. How did I end up hanging out with a bunch of guys who only know how to play with bugs? But just as Li Xuanqing was about to leave, one of the men shouted, "He's young Master Li, he's amazing. He had already guessed the winner a long time ago. Let's split this 200 taels." Li Xuanqing told him he didn't need it. Then, he left without looking back. The man immediately shouted to inform him that the Grand Scholars class was about to start. Li Xuanqing angrily shouted, "I'll go wherever I want." After he arrived on the street, the Li family house manager kept persuading Li Xuanqing to go listen to the Grand Scholars lecture. However, Li Xuanqing did not give him any face at all. He continued walking forward on his own. "I don't like to listen to those scholarly lectures. After all, I aspire to become the top expert in the capital." But at this moment, the shouts on the street immediately caught Li Xuanqing's attention. "Come and see! The princess's husband is having a poetry competition with the North Abyss prince. They are both extraordinary talents." Upon hearing Chu Aetherius' name, Li Xuanqing immediately became interested. He instructed his steward beside him to buy a copy as well. Immediately after, a young man ran out holding a newspaper. Just saw the verses written on the newspaper. Li Xuanqing had a look on his face, like he had eaten shit. Is this really a poem by Chu Aetherius? The butler on the side added, "I'm afraid that even the great scholars of the present world have never had such talent." Hearing the name Chu Aetherius again, Li Xuanqing instantly transformed into the undefeated Vegeta. "Just you wait, one day I will defeat you." The steward saw the young master so angry. He turned around and hoped that the servant would go back and inform the household. The remaining 5,000 taels of gambling debt will not be given to that bastard Chu Aetherius. The next moment, Li Xuanqing kicked the steward away. "Bullshit. Losing to Chu Aetherius is a fair and square loss. If I want to win, I also want to win fair and square." Then Li Xuanqing found new motivation. He ran in the opposite direction. The steward, seeing this, quickly asked, "Young master, where are you going?" Li Xuanqing told the steward solemnly, "I'm going back to class. I want to learn to write poetry." The man was originally the capital's top wastrel, known as the imperial consort. Now he has become someone even the emperor fears. A breathtaking genius. Ever since my great victory over Prince North Abyss became known throughout the streets. Even the usually mysterious Shanguan has been praising my talent endlessly. This Chu Aetherius is truly deep and unfathomable. It's really hard to figure him out. The maid beside me, however, doesn't seem to care. I'm afraid he cheated and had someone else write it for him. Shanguan shook his head and denied. So many people witnessed the process of composing the poem. Besides, the title was suggested by North Abyss Prince. How could he have cheated? Moreover, who else in the world could have such literary grace? She then smiled and looked into the distance. Chu Aetherius is indeed an interesting guy. On the other side, there was a sudden urgency-filled voice coming from inside the palace. "My dear daughter, are you okay? You really scared me." But what greeted the emperor was the princess's merciless hand. "Stay away from me." But the emperor did not give up. He continued to say intermittently, "Quick, let Father Emperor have a look." The empress did not hinder the father-daughter bonding time. She explained the cause of this incident. Exeter not only recovered this time, but also obtained the Xian Qi seed by turning a misfortune into a blessing. All of this is thanks to Emperor Chu Aetherius. He should be rewarded well. The emperor, who was originally close with the princess, suddenly stopped. He stroked his beard with interest. I have heard of this person before. I didn't expect him to have such miraculous abilities. Well rewarded? Even though the princess's face was full of disdain, she still reluctantly agreed. This guy indeed has some skills. But he still has to survive the martial arts competition to receive the reward. Ji Hua was slightly stunned after hearing this. Is my ex-Iner worrying about the martial arts competition? The princess did not deny Ji Hua's words. Instead, she asked in surprise, Even father already knows? Ji Hua affectionately patted the princess's head and said, How could I not know such a big matter? Just now, Hu Buhui has already come to see me in advance. He hopes that I will agree to his request. In half a month, he and Chu Aetherius will have a martial arts competition to determine your fate. Upon hearing the emperor's words, the princess suddenly clenched her teeth. She then revealed a demonic expression and said, They both took the liberty of using my marriage as a wager. How could I marry them? If it happens again, I will slaughter the two of them. Ji Hua saw his own daughter's terrifying side, and couldn't help but sincerely exclaim, She is indeed my daughter. Absolutely domineering. Shortly after, Ji Hua suddenly asked the queen about the poetry competition. When hearing that Chu Aetherius could still write poetry, Ji Hua immediately became energized and asked the queen for those 2 poems. However, the moment Ji Hua saw the poems, his body trembled. Good poetry. He never expected that Chu Aetherius would be so talented. Is this really his work? The queen nodded, confirming this. But in comparison to Hu Buhui in martial arts, he still has a long way to go. Ji Hua hopes that your majesty can delay the duel for Chu Aetherius for another half-month. Ji Hua suddenly looked at the queen. The task is not difficult. What do you think? Can Chu Aetherius win? The queen explained that although Chu Aetherius is a Xian cultivator, he has just recovered from a serious illness half a month ago. Winning against Hu Buhui is simply a fantasy. However, he has great confidence in himself. He believes he can defeat the youngster from North Abyss a month later. Ji Hua looked at the queen earnestly. He then took a deep breath. I have always known that your intuition is very accurate. You won't mention things you are not sure about. You won't do things that have no benefit. You are doing everything for me. If I'm not mistaken, you intend to cultivate Chu Aetherius. The queen nodded in agreement, saying, This person is extraordinary. Your majesty would know if you understood his previous experiences. Only we know that he was not valued. His previous actions were all to conceal and hide his talents. Fortunately, he managed to survive under the control of the stepmother. I don't know much about the Chu family's matters. Now, Chu Hongyan has become the commander of the powerful Xuanwu Legion. Even his 2 sons are exceptionally skilled in martial arts. They are showing signs of surpassing their father. If even his youngest son can become in Xian mastery, wouldn't the strength of the Chu family be too formidable? Thinking about this, Ji Hua couldn't help but look up at the sky. He fell into contemplation. The queen, Chu Aetherius, is a cast-off in the Chu family. But here, she is not. Supporting Chu Aetherius is also a good move. Spread the word. The competition between Chu Aetherius and North Abyss Prince will take place in 1 month. I was planning to stage an exciting showdown between 2 outstanding individuals. I was unexpectedly caught by my princess wife. It turns out it's all for a competition in a month. Princess searched for a cultivation method suitable for my cultivation practice overnight. After a night of careful searching, the princess, with sleepy eyes, found a relatively suitable Xianqi cultivation method for me, even though she didn't know what exactly it cultivated. It's just that this kid won't be slacking now, and then just admit defeat during the competition. Thinking of this, the princess jumped directly down from the bed. In that case, the princess will personally go and take a look. Then the princess unexpectedly pushed open my door, rushed in, and said, Chu Aetherius, I have a Xianqi cultivation method book here for you to study. But what caught her eye was a close-up picture of me with the twins. The princess, who was originally excited, instantly became blank. Her astute brain also short-circuited at that moment. I timidly asked the princess, who was frightened into a sketch, "Princess, why did you come back from the palace so early in the morning?" Who would know the princess came straight at me. She grabbed my ear and scolded, "You jerk! I helped you out of kindness, but you're keeping a mistress here." Seeing the situation, I had no choice but to beg for forgiveness obediently. "My princess, I was wrong. Please let me explain." The next moment, there was a thud. Autumn Jade and Winter Jade knelt on the ground, begging, "Princess, you've misunderstood young master. We are just his maids. We were simply giving him a massage." I also seized the opportunity and said, "They are maids I redeemed from the auction house. They are not some wild women." However, the princess did not let up. She continued, "With so many maids in the mansion, aren't they enough for you? Why do you have to buy 2 more? Just as I was rendered speechless, Li Xuanqing walked in holding a tray of silver tickets. "Chu Aetherius, I brought the 5,000 taels that I promised you." The next moment, Li Xuanqing was shocked for 10,000 years. As soon as I arrived, I discovered a scene of domestic violence. The princess, upon seeing the visitor, became furious. "Who are you again? How dare you break into the princess's mansion?" Li Xuanqing immediately realized that something was wrong. He quickly bowed and introduced himself, saying, "I am Li Xuanqing. I have met the princess before. I lost a bet of 5,000 taels to the imperial consort, so I am here to repay the debt." I followed his words and continued, "I instructed the gatekeeper that if he comes to repay the debt, he should be let in." The princess was once again furious, yelling at me, "How dare you, as an imperial consort, go out gambling?" Li Xuanqing immediately interjected, "Princess, you misunderstood. It's not gambling. Both the imperial consort and I wanted to buy these 2 young ladies. We made a bet on who could win. I lost to the imperial consort and owe her 5,000 taels of silver." The princess asked me if what he said was true. Filled with a strong desire to survive, I immediately issued a solemn oath. "Absolutely true." However, the princess's anger did not diminish in the slightest. She kindly expressed that the most important thing now is your martial arts duel with Hubuhui. If you lose to him and force her to marry him, she will have you executed and then commit suicide. By then, we will be buried together. Seeing her gentle eyes, I immediately assured her that I would definitely win. After hearing my assurance, the princess finally stopped persecuting me and walked towards the door. After the princess left, I immediately leaned on Li Xuanqing's shoulder. This time, I really have to thank young Master Li for helping me out of this difficulty. Otherwise, I would have a hard time explaining to the princess. Li Xuanqing directly knocked my hand away. "Stop trying to get close to me. I have already given you the money. Next time we compete, I will definitely beat you. Let's compete in something you are good at, like poetry." When he mentioned competing with me in poetry, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Even if you had 8 lifetimes, you still wouldn't win. However, Li Xuanqing didn't seem to mind and warned me to be prepared when the time comes. After he left, the twins blamed themselves and apologized to me. I quickly helped up Autumn Jade and Winter Jade, saying it was just a misunderstanding and not their fault. Please get up quickly. You are my most beloved treasures. You must not cry anymore. I will take good care of young master from now on." The twins immediately stopped crying. "Young master, rest assured, we have been your personal mates for 5 years. We have devoted ourselves to you for life. You must live well, or else we will be sold to the brothel again." I nodded gently, confident that even though I am only at Xian Mastery Level 1 now, which is 5 stages below Hubuhui, I can still easily defeat him if I want to. Upon hearing my words, the 2 women's eyes lit up. "Young master, when did you achieve Xian Mastery? Also, how did you defeat Li Xuanqing, young master? We didn't understand it at the time." Seeing the admiring looks on their faces, I deliberately teased them. "Young master, I am blessed with extraordinary luck. I naturally possess the talent to cultivate Xian Qi after a nap. As for defeating Li Xuanqing, I simply cast a small spell on him. Upon hearing my words, Autumn Jade instantly became interested. Young master, please tell us more. Later, I softly approached her ear and whispered, Young master, I will let you experience it. The next moment, Autumn Jade found herself plunged into an endless abyss. Then she suddenly plummeted downward without warning, and she let out screams one after another. At the moment Autumn Jade fell, I grabbed her waist. At the same time, I leaned in close to Autumn Jade's ear. How about it, young master, am I impressive? Autumn Jade blushed deeply, as if she had just survived a disaster. Young master's magic is truly extraordinary. To satisfy my own selfish desires, I directly developed the true function of the illusion. Here comes a spectacular scene that absolutely cannot be aired. Just when I was intimate with the twins, Murong Glaciel's cold voice suddenly interrupted me. The princess just left, and you guys started to flirt. Chu Aetherius, you really have a lot of guts. I do not care about the threats from this ugly woman. It's none of your business how bold I am. In the future, go sleep in the stable outside for me. Autumn Jade and Winter Jade, stay in the guest room. This damn ugly woman has messed up my plans repeatedly. This time she must be punished properly. Upon hearing my domineering remarks, Murong Glaciel was stunned. For a while, she could only muster a single word from her mouth. You? What? Don't forget your current status. I am now the imperial consort of the current dynasty. You don't need to be concerned about my affairs. Furious and trembling all over, Murong Glaciel gritted her teeth and slowly said, I will sleep in the horse stable. In her heart, she secretly thought, just a clown with only 7 days left to live. Let you prance around for a few more days. Seeing the ugly woman turn and leave, I asked, Two ladies, I know you can communicate telepathically. If you join forces, you should be able to defeat a martial artist at the body tempering 3-layer. Right. When they agreed, I continued, Murong Glaciel is a person with evil intentions. She has always wanted to harm me. I plan to seize the opportunity to get rid of her. But I need your help. So, you need to practice harder. The two ladies immediately agreed and said, Don't worry, young master, we will not let you down. Back in the room, the system indicated that I have already opened up 36 acupoints. I still need to open the remaining 720 acupoints and meridians before I can continue with Xian Qi cultivation. I looked at the reminder from the system and secretly thought to myself, the speed of impacting the acupoints is still too slow. How can I quickly open up all acupoints? Just then, I thought of a good way. I can do acupuncture on myself and forcefully open the acupoints. After understanding everything, I immediately took out the silver needle to experiment. Whether I live or die, I'll just go all out. If it doesn't work, I'll just transform my bicycle into a motorcycle. After several hours of effort, I finally unlocked all the acupoints on my body. I have to say, I am a genius. Meridian completely open, level 1 Xian mastery achieved. Shortly after, the system's voice rang out again. Congratulations to the host for unlocking all 720 acupoints and meridians in the body, rewarded with starry moon eyes. Soon, I discovered that my eyes seemed to have changed just now. The next moment, countless starry powers suddenly surged into my eyes. Feeling this power, my heart trembled. The power of these eyes is simply too strong. They can actually absorb starry power to enhance Xian Qi. The system's voice sounded again. Congratulations to the host for comprehending illusions. Flowers in the mirror, moon in the water. The moment of comprehension. Many pieces of knowledge suddenly appeared in my mind. At the same time, I formed a hand seal to create a formation. I didn't expect that I could actually summon the things I thought of in my mind. I was delighted to discover a new continent in my heart. I then summoned the naked twins. Still unsatisfied, I summoned another princess with a different appearance. I didn't even spare the charming Murong Glaciel. I can't help but have a nosebleed from experiencing this happy life. It seems that this illusion technique cannot be used all the time, or else my body will suffer irreparable damage. In order to be able to battle 800 rounds the next day, I have no hesitation to go to sleep right away. After all, everything I have is in my dreams now. 7 days later, Murong Glacial came to the outside of my room again. I suppose that Chu Aetherius must have died violently by now. When Murong Glacial excitedly opened the door, I was wrapped in a bath towel, drying my wet hair. Seeing the visitor, I chuckled and said, "Morning, ugly woman." After returning to the general's mansion, Murong Glacial also reported to her stepmother, "I have not received news of my death yet." Seeing the furious expression of her stepmother, Murong Glacial quickly explained, "I originally thought he was already dead. Who knew he suddenly left this morning, looking healthy and energetic?" Her stepmother coldly replied, "It seems we need to act soon." She then turned her head to Murong Glacial and said, "Before, I was concerned about his birth mother seeking revenge. But now, Sun Heaven has become a Xian mastery and even found a good master." Upon hearing about her lover Murong Glacial, Sun Heaven felt happy. Sun Heaven brother has broken through to Xian mastery. The cold stepmother nodded. "So we have nothing to worry about. Glacial, find an opportunity to take care of Chu Aetherius for me." She heard the stepmother's command. When Murong Glacial's eyes turned cold, Chu Aetherius wouldn't survive tonight. The imperial consort, who has always been treated as waste. He became a skilled Xian Mastery Level 2 expert after taking a nap. I see. In order to have the ability to challenge Hubuhui as soon as possible. I fell asleep without any hesitation. Not long after falling asleep, I heard a prompt from the system. "Congratulations to the host for breaking through Level 2 Xian Mastery, extending lifespan by 1 year. The ability of X-ray vision has evolved. Specific functions, please explore on your own." But I didn't notice any anomalies. I continued to sleep heavily, accompanied by loud snoring. I finally slowly opened my eyes, not knowing how long it had been. Just woke up and already feeling the power in my body. It seems that I have ascended to Level 2 while sleeping at this rate. In a month, I can reach at least Level 5 Xian Mastery. By then, dealing with Hubuhui will be like a walk in the park. In the approaching night, there suddenly came a voice outside the room, Murong Glacial's voice. "Imperial Consort, you have been asleep for a day and should eat now. This is a delicious chicken soup I carefully prepared for you. You must give it a try." And then, she put on a flattering expression. It was all Glacial's fault before. In the future, I will definitely serve Imperial Consort well. Please accept my apology, Imperial Consort. Come, finish this bowl of chicken soup. The 180-degree drastic change in her behavior made me realize something was off. You being so polite is making me uncomfortable. How about you come and warm my bed tonight? Murong Glacial didn't seem displeased when hearing my flirtation. Instead, she happily agreed to come and warm the bed for the Imperial Consort. Glacial is truly delighted. Feeling increasingly uneasy, I immediately activated the perspective function. There must be something wrong with this demoness. Sure enough, after activating the perspective, a glamorous aura appeared on the food in front of me. This despicable thing dared to poison me. Seeing that I was not eating, Murong Glacial sweetly asked me, "Is there something unsatisfactory?" I told her that I must have chicken feet when eating. My brain quickly started to work. Since this enchantress is eager to make a move on me so quickly, I won't be polite either. Then I instructed her to order a few more dishes for me. Just a few dishes are not enough for me. Moreover, I also want a bottle of 1982 Chateau Lafite. Murong Glacial looked at me inquisitively and asked, "Is your body really recovered?" I nodded to confirm this and instructed her to hurry up, otherwise, the chance to warm the bed tonight would be lost. Murong Glacial obediently said to wait a moment and quickly left. But as Murong Glacial turned around, a sly smile appeared on her face. Eat up! Fill your stomach before hitting the road. Consider it my way of seeing you off." After Murong Glacial left, I stood up and gave instructions to Winter Jade and Autumn Jade. This day has come too quickly. It's time to get ready. I then pointed to the seemingly delicious dishes on the side and said, all these dishes contain deadly toxins. Upon hearing me say this, both Autumn Jade and Winter Jade were shocked. Could it be arranged by Murong Glacial? She has quite the nerve to dare to poison the young master. I put down the chopsticks and explained to them. The situation has not been just for a day or two. It's just that the court physician said I only have 7 days left to live. That's why she didn't take action. I can't believe she dared to act in the princess's manner. She will be back soon. And you can escape on the first day, but you won't escape on the 15th day. Sooner or later, there will be a confrontation between her and you. It's better to take this opportunity to get rid of her. Upon hearing me say this, Autumn Jade and Winter Jade immediately chimed in unison. Young master, just tell us what to do. Seeing them like this, I nodded in agreement and quietly approached them. I explained the plan for what would come next. As the door creaked open, Autumn Jade, Winter Jade cried out my name. The two of them saw Murong Glacial return and quickly called out, Glacial, sister. Something's wrong. Young master suddenly collapsed after eating a few bites of food. He said his stomach hurts. Upon hearing what Autumn Jade and Winter Jade said, Murong Glacial concealed her excitement and said suspiciously, Let's not panic first. Let me take a look. Autumn Jade gently set me down when she saw the situation. Glacial, please take care of young master. She then turned and walked towards the door. Let's go get the court physician. Just then, Murong Glacial suddenly emitted a terrifying aura. No one is allowed to leave. She then turned with a fierce expression on her face and said to the two of them, If you take one more step forward, I will kill you. The woman who was begging to warm my bed just a second ago. The next second, she wanted to chop me into 18 pieces. It turns out she wanted to kill me. Murong Glacial poisoned my food. After I was poisoned, she ordered both Autumn Jade and Winter Jade to stay put. Feeling Murong Glacial's powerful aura, Autumn Jade and Winter Jade trembled incessantly in place. Murong Glacial smirked at me and said, The poison in the food was placed by me. Those affected by this poison will die a gruesome death, with their liver and intestines shattered. I am pretending to be on the brink of death to play along. Then I asked Murong Glacial, Why would you do such a thing? Murong Glacial saw my reaction and laughed even more recklessly. Don't you have any self-awareness? You were supposed to be dead by the 7th day. Why did you have to come back to life? Do you know how much I wanted to kill you these past few days? Then I continued to ask him, If you kill me, aren't you afraid of being executed by my mother? Murong Glacial suddenly pointed at me and laughed. Your mother? You probably don't even know what your birth mother looks like. Auntie raised you for so many years. Why did she treat you like trash? It's all because of your damn mother. Your birth mother was just a concubine. Yet she gave birth to a little animal like you. If it weren't for her having some power, Auntie would have killed you long ago to avenge you. I nervously asked her, Why do you dare to kill me now? In the next moment, Murong Glacial tightly grasped my neck. Since you are about to die, I will tell you, she said. Of course, it's because Sun Heaven has become a Xian mastery with a more powerful master. Stop struggling, close your eyes and wait for death. A useless person like you shouldn't exist in this world. And I, because the power in his hands keeps increasing, causing my eyes to roll back and snot to flow. But the next moment, a familiar voice called out the name of Murong Glacial. Nervous, Murong Glacial turned around fearfully, only to see the Empress looking at her sternly, questioning why she dared to poison the imperial consort and not kneel down. At the moment she saw the Empress, Murong Glacial's expression changed constantly. Wasn't the Empress in the palace? When did she arrive here? Without much time to think, Murong Glacial immediately knelt down in front of the Empress. Empress, I did not. However, at that moment, I suddenly lashed out and slapped Murong Glacial on the head. Murong Glacial, caught off guard, suddenly screamed. The next moment, the figure of the queen in her eyes became twisted and slowly disappeared before my eyes. And when Murong Glacial opened her eyes again, she saw me looking at her with a smile on my face. Murong Glacial realized that she was being teased, and instantly became furious. A crimson light burst forth from her eyes. Chu Aetherius, you despicable waste, how dare you plot against me? Just as Murong Glacial was raging, Autumn Jade and Winter Jade drew their double swords and ruthlessly stabbed at Murong Glacial's waist. After that, Autumn Jade pulled out a short knife and rushed towards Murong Glacial once again. At the same time, she grabbed Murong Glacial by the neck and stabbed fiercely. Murong Glacial intended to harm the young master and was unforgivable. Deeply enraged, Murong Glacial was not subdued by this. Instead, he looked fiercely at the two people behind him. She erupted with a sinister aura, sending the two women flying. Relying on you few weaklings, you still want to kill me. Immediately, she turned her hand into a claw and reached towards my face. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, I felt the extraordinary power of body tempering 6th layer. But my actions did not stop. I rolled to dodge Murong Glacial's attack. However, the enraged Murong Glacial did not stop because of that. She kept slashing at me with her claws. Seeing her fierce attacks, doubts arose in my mind. Could it really be that I am going to be killed by this woman here? It seems like I must find an opportunity to give her another injection. Just at that moment, a sharp blade suddenly appeared in front of me. Even before I could react, the blade pierced into my chest. With her internal strange force, I flew backwards violently. Seeing this scene, Autumn and Winter Jade shouted nervously towards me, "Young master." Murong Glacial continued to speak to me. "Chu Aetherius, I will never give up on you. A woman who is working hard day and night to kill me." In the end, she still ended up in despair. Originally, in order to get rid of this troublesome woman, I set up a trap and waited for her to fall for it. Who would have expected that this woman would fight back at the brink of death? The plan succeeded before my eyes. Murong Glacial trembled and laughed coldly. "My sword is soaked in deadly poison. Today you will undoubtedly die. Blame your despicable mother for fighting over my aunt. She gave birth to such a lowly bastard like you." The next moment, Murong Glacial knelt to the ground due to exhaustion. If it weren't for Brother Sun Heaven and Aunt, as the proud daughter of the heavens, how could I have ended up associating with despicable scum like you? I should have been aloof and paired with Brother Sun Heaven all because of you. Why should a bastard like you continue to live in this world? Then Murong Glacial burst into wild laughter. "But you're finally dead. I have completed every task Aunt assigned to me. Now I can finally be worthy of Brother Sun Heaven and become his woman." Until she had vented all the anger in her heart, Murong Glacial finally fell into a pool of blood. Seeing this scene, I slowly stood up. I looked coldly at this dying person. "I'm afraid I will disappoint you." Autumn Jade and Winter Jade on the side also looked pleasantly surprised at this moment. The two of them shouted my name one after another. Immediately, I grabbed and pulled off the clothing in front of my chest. "Murong Glacial, open your eyes wide and take a good look." I pulled out the dagger that Murong Glacial had just stabbed at me. "Little knife, your attack didn't hurt me at all." The originally calm Murong Glacial had a great shock on her face. The roar of unwillingness spread throughout the entire house. I sneered as I heard her voice. "Unfortunately, I cannot accompany you in death. You should go die by yourself." Upon hearing my ridicule, Murong Glacial angrily cursed at me. "You treacherous and cunning mongrel! We all underestimated you. But do not get arrogant. Aunt and the eldest young master will avenge me. You may escape once, but you won't escape forever." Right after the last word was uttered, Murong Glacial's voice abruptly fell silent. Her eyes were filled with emptiness. With resentment, she departed this world forever. I ordered the twins to clean up her body thoroughly. Under no circumstances should it be discovered by anyone. After all this is done, my mind starts to spin rapidly. Once the news of me killing Murong Glacial spreads, it will surely trigger the insane retaliation from the Murong Glacial family. Even the queen might find it difficult to handle. They might even become more wary and hostile towards me. A lifetime of sacrifice ultimately amounts to being just a pawn of the ant. If not for such conflicting interests, perhaps our acquaintance might have had a different outcome. But this incident also made me realize the horror of body-tempering six-layer martial artists. Even when their acupoints are sealed, they can still fight back on the brink of death. How can I win against Hu Buhui in the competition a month later? Moreover, that guy even has a special ability, wild talk. At this point, I sighed helplessly. It seems like I need to focus on cultivating Grand Dream Cycle to gain experience for this battle. Who knows, my cultivation level might even reach a higher level. The next moment, a window from the system popped up. Congratulations, host, for drawing the top-grade martial art Tai Chi Chuan cultivation method. Please cultivate it to exquisite mastery within half a month. I was also surprised by the system's prompt. It turns out that Dream Cultivation can randomly obtain martial art cultivation methods. The system confirmed this and informed me that martial arts are divided into 3 levels: low grade, middle grade, and top grade. Low grade martial arts only have fighting styles at the entry level, intermediate level, and advanced level. Middle grade martial arts not only have fighting styles, but also methods to guide one's energy and blood flow. Additionally, they have an extra level called Perfect on top of the advanced level. As for top-grade martial arts, its mysteries are endless, with an additional level called Exquisite Mastery. After hearing the system's explanation, I rubbed my chin with interest. Even someone as powerful as Murong Glacial is only at the intermediate level of a low-grade martial art. Hu Buhui's wild talk is just a middle-grade martial art. Then the system reminded me that as long as the proficiency in martial art is high enough, challenging opponents of a higher level is just a common occurrence. Upon hearing the system's explanation, I gained a much clearer understanding of martial art. This may be my only chance to defeat Hu Buhui. Just then, my door was forcefully pushed open by the princess. I saw her walking in with an imposing manner. The princess had just returned from the palace and heard from the servants that there was a lot of commotion coming from your room. Then she put on a high and mighty look and questioned me. Chu Aetherius, what on earth are you secretly up to? After seeing the princess, I forced myself to stay calm and sat up. She probably didn't discover what just happened. It seems that she has been having someone watch my residence all along. She really doesn't trust me enough. Later, I explained to her. The commotion just now was because I was cultivating and lost control of my power. That's why it alarmed them. Hearing me say this, the princess looked displeased. What kind of cultivation would cause such a disturbance? I scratched my head, thinking quickly, and showed a sheepish expression. I said timidly, Actually, there was a little issue with my cultivation. The next moment, the princess grabbed my collar. My whole future depends on you. If you have any problems, what will happen to the competition a month later? I absolutely cannot allow any mistakes. Do you understand? Then I gently moved the princess's hands away and solemnly promised to her, I will definitely win the competition for you. It was just that there was still some connection between my problem and the princess. On that day when I was treating you, in order to completely help you clear the toxins, I had to absorb the remaining toxins in your body into mine, and then slowly neutralize them. Who would have expected to suffer a backlash instead? The proud and charming princess, your highness. She actually pinned me down and took charge. It turns out it was to cover up the sounds in my room. I deceived the princess. This is because of the trouble left behind from helping him heal that day. After the princess heard my words, she immediately lost her arrogance. Why didn't you say so earlier? How could this princess owe you a favor? I will definitely find a way to help you solve it. After hearing the princess's words, I felt a little guilty and turned my head. There is a way, but I don't know if you are willing to help me, princess. Hearing me say this, the princess quickly asked, What method? I have already gathered all the toxins to my chest. It's just that it's too close to the heart here, so I can't force it out with brute force. Now, all you need to do is help me suck out the poison. This way, it won't affect me continuing to cultivate." Upon hearing my words, the princess unconsciously stepped back. Could it be that this princess has to use her mouth to suck it out? I nodded in agreement with the princess's words. Besides the mouth, there is no other place to suck it from. The princess blushed instantly upon hearing this. "You wouldn't be fooling me, would you? What the heck kind of method is this, after all?" I immediately put on an innocent look and said to the princess, "How could that be? Everything is for the purpose of better cultivating you under my care. You already have antibodies to this poison. The toxin won't harm you at all. It also solves my problem. This is the best solution." Upon hearing me say this, the princess rolled up her sleeves and agreed to my request. Since this matter is caused by me, I naturally have to take full responsibility. This princess does not want to owe you anything. Upon hearing the princess agreed, I was slightly stunned. I didn't expect her to actually agree. It seems that she actually has a kind heart. But maybe it's a bit too much to deceive her like this. Before I could react, the princess stood up and kicked me out with one swift motion. She leaped and tackled me onto the bed. "Bring it on! Let's finish this quickly," she said. But when she started to remove my clothes, the princess hesitated. She felt that the position they were in was a bit awkward. And my anxiety peaked. Even my breathing became rapid. The princess then cast aside the last trace of hesitation. At the same time, she tossed her hair aside as she prepared to take action. And then, the princess's rosy lips kept getting closer to my wound. And she gently sucked out the poisonous blood from my body. Under the princess's strong oppression, a previously unparalleled feeling instantly swept through every corner of the body. This kind of imperial treatment, I'm sure only I can enjoy it. If this moment could stop, I hope it's for 10,000 years. Shortly after, the princess was panting heavily as she wiped the sweat from her ears. "I feel about done. Take a look for yourself." Before the princess could finish her sentence, she saw that I had already started snoring. The shy look on her face disappeared in an instant, replaced by endless anger. That darn guy actually fell asleep. The unwilling princess fell into my arms and kept poking my cheeks with her fingers. "Hurry up and wake up this princess! Are you really that tired?" She tried for a while and realized I still had no reaction. The princess's cheeks puffed up in anger. "He didn't even say thank you." She was too defenseless in front of me. Afterwards, the princess got up and left. He cultivated so hard to help me. Since that's the case, I won't be so strict. However, in my deep sleep, I was unaware of all this. And in the dream, I kept practicing the advanced martial art that I just comprehended. What surprised me is that now I can perform the illusion technique in my dreams. Everything in the dream changes according to my will. This Tai Chi Chuan is similar to the Tai Chi passed down in my previous life. I believe I will soon be able to grasp its essence. After one night, I slowly opened my eyes. I found myself practicing Tai Chi all night unconsciously, but surprisingly, I didn't feel any tiredness, both physically and mentally. On the contrary, I felt even better than yesterday. When I checked the situation inside my body, I found that just one night of training had produced an extra 30 threads of Xian Qi compared to cultivating for a whole day previously. At this rate, increasing by 50 threads a day won't be difficult at all. After 8 days, even if I don't reach level 6 Xian mastery, I can still achieve level 5. By then, I won't need to fear that Hubuhui. And then I shouted for Autumn Jade and Winter Jade outside the house.